Barich on camera last round, but Barich won so quickly, didn't really get to see any of the gameplay there.
We watched one game last round. And I said, hey, next time please win a little slower, please.
Let's see if that can happen. Looks like Warfield on the play here, shocking for a stomping ground to 18. Commune with the Dinosaurs. This card really showing up, making a comeback because of Corset 2020.
Yeah, Corset 2020 gave a lot of tribal decks from the Ixalan block a new toy. You know, we got Marauding Raptors for dinosaurs. We got Sword and Vengeful Bloodlord for vampires. There's probably some elementals that I'm missing that go along with the elemental theme. So, but for, you know, in this matchup, I want to say one last thing before we really get underway. A lot of decks in the format actually sideboard multiple copies of Ripjaw Raptor, and Warfield's Jund Dinosaurs is one that gets to play it main deck, which is a huge deal against the red decks.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw Regisaur Alpha picked up off the Commune. Fanatical Firebrand was a turn 1 play for Barich. Now it's attacking a second time. Warfield down to 16. You saw an Otepec Huntmaster shocked in between. And now you see a Gitu Lava Runner joining the squad for Barich. Turn 3 for Warfield. Here's a Forest, and here is a Domri.
Yeah, Domri's not my favorite card out of the Jund Dinosaurs deck. I would actually say it's my least favorite card, but it does do some really cool stuff against some more mid-range decks in the format, allowing your Rotting Regisaurs and the like to really hammer home.
Scary start to Barich's turn. 2 more Lava Runners, but I'm not seeing a second instant or sorcery for the Graveyard.
So I think Erin actually has a Skewer the Critics, and she's trying to figure out if she wants to go face for Skewer, or face and then turn on Skewer.
Gotcha, yeah. She can use the Firebrand to turn on the Skewer. Alternatively, just attack for 2, and that's what we see here. And that's going at Warfield's face. She'll fall to 14.
Yeah, face is the place. But now Warfield has access to at least 5 mana here, and we saw a Regisaur Alpha found off the Community of Dinosaurs on turn 1. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Woodland Cemetery is land for turn. Domri's mana number 5. Here's the Regisaur Alpha.
Now, this is the kind of spot I was talking about. At this juncture, if Barich doesn't have a way to clean up some of these creatures from the opponent's side, there's a chance that the game just ends next turn, or functionally ends next turn because Allison gets to untap at 14 life with plenty of creatures to play defense.
Well, no answers on this turn for Barich, but a pretty big find. Turn 4 Experimental Frenzy. Potentially next turn could get out of hand.
Oh, for sure. Frenzy is very strong in this deck, and last week, she actually decided to play only 1 copy of Frenzy in the main deck, going for more of the Chandra Spitfire type game plan because so many people were ramping instead of playing like this ABC, kill your creature, establish a little bit of a battlefield. So Spitfire was able to close games very quickly against those decks playing Risen Reef.
Unclaimed Territory. Got to figure this on Dinosaurs. Will be land number 5 for Warfield. And here's Ripjaw Raptor. You mentioned that being a big factor of the deck in this matchup. And that Domri's been hanging out. Here's a -2. Get to fight one of the Lava Runners and draw a card.
Yeah, the Ripjaw Raptor plus Domri is one of the better interactions for the deck. And because of this Experimental Frenzy, I was going to say, I would actually expect Warfield to get aggressive here and start applying pressure to the life total. Otherwise, Frenzy might just get really out of hand.
Dinosaur token attacked, Barich to 17. Now you see Frenzy go to work. Runaway Steamkin deployed, as well as a land. Here's Goblin Chain Whirler. Steamkin will get a counter. Unfortunately, that's going to trigger the Ripjaw Raptor. Warfield will draw a card as she falls to 13.
Yeah, this was a pretty good turn, though, even though Barich gave Warfield a card effectively for free. Found the Runaway Steamkin and might be able to do a lot of burst damage next turn.
Lava Runner still just 1/2s, and the Chain Whirler knocked Domri down to 2, though 1 fight still on deck over there.
Yeah, and that would be a fine trade-off next turn, I believe, for Warfield to go Ripjaw Raptor fighting either the Runaway Steamkin or the Chain Whirler. And now I think Erin's actually trying to figure out if she wants to shrink it down so that can't happen.
Yeah, Barich's going to defend the creatures. Uses that Fanatical Firebrand to put the Domri down to 1 loyalty. Then we'll pass back to Warfield.
Now, if Warfield actually attacks in here with all 3 of these creatures and Barich declines to block, the game actually ends. A Collision Colossus here from Warfield would close things down.
Well, here's a huge attacker. Domri's going to help Warfield cast a Rotting Regisaur. Regisaur Alpha has haste for that. And it's not stopping there. Warfield's going to shock for a Stomping Ground. Falls to 11. Shifting Ceratops added to the battlefield.
So I wouldn't expect an all-out strike here, but I think a couple of creatures are definitely going to come across. I believe if Warfield attacks with everything, Barich can make some blocks and leave herself with like two attackers on the following turn and still be alive, maybe even 3. And that would put her in a spot where a couple strings off the top might actually just close the game. So expect a conservative attack here from Warfield.
Dinosaur token, a Rotting Regisaur, and Regisaur Alpha. So Raptor and Shifting Ceratops are going to hang back.
All right, so these 3 creatures are attacking. This is an easy block here. Chain Whirler eats the 3 toughness dinosaur, and then we got a chump block on the 8 power Rotting Regisaur, and then we take 5 from the Regisaur Alpha. It's going to send Aaron down to 11.
Right, yeah, that static on Domri does pump that +1. Combat plays out as you said.
Perhaps a slightly ill-advised attack, maybe attacking with the shifting oh no, it doesn't have face. My apologies. Maybe attacking with Ripjaw Raptor would have been a little bit more advisable just because of the 3 damage first striking from Chain Whirler versus the token.
Shock is the first play for Barich. That's going to grow the Steamkin. Goblin Chain Whirler is the next play, so that's 2 more counters on the Steamkin. It's now fully stocked at 3.
Yeah, but Warfield can draw another card here with the Ripjaw Raptor if she remembers the trigger.
And the Shock did go upstairs, so Warfield now at 8. And here's a Chandra Acolyte of Flame off the mana with the Steamkin. It's now back at 1 counter.
Yeah. If Barich wants to, Barich can minus the Chandra, cast the Shock from the graveyard to deal 2 to something, probably the Domri. Put another counter on the Runaway Steamkin and maybe keep the train going.
There's just 1 mana left over. Barich's going to use that for light up the stage.
Yeah, and that is restricted on the cost, or sorry, reduced on the cost thanks to the Goblin Chain Whirler. If Barich hits a land here, she can cast a Shock out of the graveyard, put another counter on Runaway Steamkin, and then kind of start this process all over again.
And Mountain and Steamkin were exiled for light up the stage. Mountain will be played. Looks like another 1 mana effect. It's another light up the stage, so now that Steamkin's up to 3. Mountain Chain Whirler.
So a Flamekin, or sorry, Runaway Steamkin can cast Chain Whirler. Can also cast a second Runaway Steamkin, minus a Chandra, and shock something or play 1 mana card off the top. Couple of options here, but effectively the end of the turn is nigh.
Barich giving a look at what she can do with 3 floating red mana. A little bit tight on just casting the second Steamkin and really going off.
Right. Basically like 1 mana short. I suspect a Chain Whirler is good. Well, I could be wrong. I was going to assume that a Chain Whirler is coming, but oh, another 1 mana card at the top. This is a pretty big deal here.
Yeah, that's going to grow the Steamkin back to 1. 2 red mana still floating. Update on the back table. Rudy Briksza does win game number 1 over Lynn.
All right. Well, if Aaron just decides to use the last 2 mana to cast Runaway Steamkin, puts the first Steamkin back up to 2 counters, can't quite activate it, but could potentially go ballistic on the follow-up turn, as long as she's able to survive. All the creatures on the opposing side of the battlefield have 1 damage on them. Shock doesn't quite kill any of them, but Shock plus Firebrand does.
Barrett's looking at a -2 on the Chandra. It's for light up the stage.
Okay. Barrett's trying to basically end the game this turn. Needs more 1 mana stuff to do. Ember Hauler ain't it.
Ember Hauler Mountain Exile, just 1 red floating left over.
Checking the top card again just to see if there's anything else that she can do. Thought she might toss the Fanatical Firebrand at the Domri, but I think instead probably just going to pass turn and try to win on the following turn.
Okay, so you see the mana pool is emptying. All those cards are exiled for next turn from those light up the stages. Then we'll go back to Warfield. Rotting Regisaur will trigger. She'll discard a card. It's an unclaimed territory, and she'll draw for turn.
Now, I believe she has Shifting Ceratops. She can plus Domri, cast Ceratops, give it haste, swing in with everything, and depending on how Barich blocks, that Collision Colossus might actually steal this game against this really insane Experimental Frenzy.
So Domri is going to make a mana. Here's another Shifting Ceratops. This time Warfield has mana to give it haste if that's what she wants to do.
Yeah, they have haste from the Regisaur Alpha, and Warfield can also give at least one of them trample and still cast the Collision Colossus to give one +4/+2 in trample.
Warfield looking at what blocks might look like. Barich at 11. Yeah, so with Collision Colossus, the Rotting Regisaur becomes an 11 power trampling creature.
Right, and you have to remember the Domri's also pumping the other creatures, so that could mess up combat math from Barich's side of things. This is a spot you really want to be in from the Jund Dinosaur side of things, because if Barich just makes one drawn block, she might die.
That's a good point. Yeah, it is a 12 power trampling creature because of the Domri.
Right, and there's not even there. You know, there's a chance that there's just no actual correct block. But if I'm Warfielder, I'm shoving. I'm letting Barich do the math, and then once the dust settles, you check and see if any of the creatures coming across can win the game by getting trample and +4 power. Now,
so here's the attack. Everyone's coming across.
There's 6 blockers. Sorry, 5 blockers, 5 attackers. 4 damage effectively plus the trample is going to get in. And if Fanatical Firebrand sits there on that Regisaur, this game's done.
Realistically, it seems like Barich probably just has to block as if Warfield has nothing.
Yeah, like I said, it's possible that there's just no correct block in this scenario. Like right now, the Shifting Ceratops is getting in for 6, and so that plus or getting for for 6. So the Collision Colossus on the Rotting Regisaur is just well over lethal, and I don't think that there's a blocking configuration that keeps that from being the case.
Right. So Warfield has enough mana for Collision plus Trample on 1 Ceratops. With these blocks, that part's not really a factor, but it seems like with any block, that combination should be good. There you see the Collision, and Allie Warfield up a game.
Yeah, impressive stuff from the Jund Dinosaurs deck. A lot of times you have to figure out a way to get aggressive against an Experimental Frenzy. Warfield piecing together a three-pronged or three-turn attack to get the job done.
All right, so players going to look at the sideboards here. For Warfield, now up a game, she has 4 Duress, 3 Flame Sweep, 3 Noxious Grasp, 2 Thrashing Brontodon, 2 Veil of Summer, and an additional copy of Domri. Actually, this is 4 mana Domri, so this is a different effect.
Yeah, this is the one that gives it Riot, and also can search your deck or the top 6 cards for up to 2 creatures. As far as sideboards are concerned, the Duresses can play a big deal here by just stripping Barich of some of those key removal spells like Lava Coil, as well as hitting that Experimental Frenzy early in the game. For that reason alone, I like porting in at least 2 or 3. Some number of Thrashing Brontodon I think can come in, and then some number of Flame Sweep I think also comes in, as Barich's build has a ton of really small creatures, and Flame Sweep kills Fanatical Firebrand, unlike Fiery Cannonade for the last 2 darn years. As far as Barich is concerned, on her side of things, I'm boarding in removal spells that can take care of some of those larger creatures. You definitely want Lava Coil. I don't think Tybalt is very good. You can't expect too much in the way of life gain from the Jund Dinosaurs deck. The Chandra Spitfire might be pretty good because there's not a ton of removal from the Jund Dinosaur side of things. And then, of course, you do want Active Treason as that big blowout potential for taking one of those giant dinos like Galta and kind of stealing the game in a spot where you were far behind.
Yeah, Anti-Treason definitely can be a big blowout against a card like Gulta. You see the Heart Piercer Bow, that's largely an answer for Cerulean Drake. Not a factor in this matchup, but it is something you might play against were you to take Barich's list to something like a Star City Games Game Night. You can read all about the deck that she used to win the Worcester Open last weekend over on StarCityGames.com. Check out Game Nights in July and collect the Down Undead tokens and sleeves.
I think last week I tried to do an Australian accent, but I've been watching a movie that was set in South Africa and accidentally did a South African accent. So I'm not even going to try, but it's a play on Down Under, but it's Down Undead. So.
That was a good bit where you explained the bit that you tried before. It didn't work.
Didn't work, you know. I love it when comedians do that, right? Like they're like, I had a joke about this thing. It kind of fell flat for XYZ, so that's not going to do it.
I'm reminded of the episode of 30 Rock where Tracy Jordan is going on about how funny he thinks breaking is and is just shouting and laughing about the fact that he's breaking. This bit's a lot like that bit.
Yeah.
But more quiet.
Yeah. Well, your bit is kind of like my bit about his bit. I think that's what we're doing. All right. Well, looks like the left side of the table here with Briksza, Sasser, and Warfield are all up a game. So our winners from last round, Liz Lynn, Dom Harvey, and Aaron Barich, got some work to do.
Yeah, they had a 5-game sweep last round. Currently, they are under 3.
Yeah, but things can go either way. I think Barich's deck gets a little bit better suited to fight this matchup after sideboard. The Hogak deck, it's a little less explosive than the previous iterations featuring Bridge from Below, but still strong nonetheless. It basically becomes whether or not Harvey can actually answer those things in the ice, which we were talking about earlier. And if something like Fatal Push out of the sideboard can potentially help there. Looks like he has a couple of Sasser trophies as well. Maybe some ley lines to contain the Phoenixes, but they're not really nearly as big of a problem as Thing in the Ice. And as far as Teamer Delver versus 4-color Delver, I feel like Liz should have a bit of an advantage. Noble Hierarch gives you a big mana boost. But, it can go either way. Fruity just had a bunch of removal spells and some wastelands and some pressure. Like, games just kind of end sometimes without you really doing much of anything in Legacy.
Yeah, there's a lot of give and take on the deck registration sheet between those two decks. The value of red and 6 versus 1 toughness creatures, how good a wasteland is against a 3-color deck versus a 4-color deck. A lot going on in that match.
Yeah, I'm assuming Briksza's version, and I got it in front of me now. I'm going to take a look at it. 4 Tarmogoyf, 4 Delver, 2 Dreadhorde Arcanist, and 2 True Name Nemesis. 3 copies of Ren and 6. So this is kind of the similar version of what we've been seeing a lot lately. And it's more of Teamer Delver main deck. The only black card is actually Abrupt Decay, and then the sideboard, there's some other black cards like Plague Engineer, Liliana's Triumph. But for the most part, game 1 is just Teamer Delver mirror match. One person has Tarmogoyf, and the other person instead has 4 Noble Hierarch. So, in that regard, Tarmogoyf is a big old boy. Pretty hard to kill when your removal is primarily Lightning Bolt. Those Abrupt Decays probably did a lot of work for Rudy, if I had to guess.
Had Aaron Barich on the play for game number 2. She did take a mulligan, just a mountain and a pass on turn 1. Turn 2, it is Ember Hauler. Warfield at a tap Stomping Ground, see if there's any action on turn 2. Woodland Cemetery is the land. Otepec Huntmaster is the cast.
Now, this is a spot where Ember Hauler is far superior to Vaishno Pyromancer. Now, Aaron Barich does have the shock, but if she didn't have that removal spell in that spot, having the capability of using Ember Hauler to clear off that mana creature is a huge deal.
Shock, attack, light up the stage. Warfield at 18, 2 mountains revealed. Barich had not played a land yet this turn, so she'll play one of those. And to play, get you Lava Runner. See what Warfield can do about it.
Yeah, going to guarantee that 4th land drop, though, which is a pretty nice part of the light up the stage when it hits 2 lands. Coming
Warfield,
in for 5.
Played a tapped Overgrown Tomb, and now, as you mentioned, being attacked for 5 because of Fanatical Firebrand.
And no removal spell leads me to believe that Warfield just has a bunch of 4s, 5s, and bigger in hand. Otherwise, I think a removal spell would have come last turn. Now, Flame Sweep would be killer here. And I'm curious if Warfield has it, maybe even sandbagged it on the previous turn.
Looks like it's another Huntmaster, though.
Yeah, Otepec Huntmaster, not the most stellar of threats in this spot. Barich here actually has a pretty interesting decision. She can trade the Ember Hauler for the Huntmaster and then untap him and play Experimental Frenzy instead decides that the 2/2 body is worth a bit more.
So we go back to Barich. She'll cast a Runaway Steamkin.
Excuse me, that was a Lightning Strike, not a Experimental Frenzy. Apologies.
Yeah, so Strike takes down the Huntmaster. The other creatures attack for 5. Steamkin's now at 2. Warfield is now at 8.
Yeah, Warfield has a bunch of Register Alphas in hand. I'm curious if she has a 5th land to play. Looks like she doesn't. Just going to cast a Rotting Regisaur and cross fingers. That should do it right there.
Another Lava Runner. Steamkin now a 3. Attack with everybody. You block the 3. You still got 7 coming across with the Ember Hauler at the ready.
Yeah. Really clean win there for Barich. We're going to see if she can maybe take down game number 3 after sideboard. Barich was also mulligan that game. Was down on 6 cards, but just had a really good start there.
It seems like being on the play is going to be pretty important in a matchup like this.
Oh, for sure. Warfield there, if Warfield was on the play, there's a chance that Barich doesn't use an early removal spell to kill the mana creature because she needs to get some pressure onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you're just kind of treading water. But Warfield there, a little unfortunate. If she was able to draw an untapped land that turn that didn't deal her some damage, playing 2 blockers off that Regisaur Alpha might have given her enough of a life buffer to survive the attack.
Mm-hmm. And it looked like the keep from Warfield was leaning kind of heavily on that first Huntmaster.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's the big part of your overall game plan, but in a matchup that has a bunch of shocks in it, it's not really something you can reliably count on.
Erin Barich is one of my favorite players to cover here on the SCG Tour, an invitational champion. We saw her win the Standard Open in Worcester last weekend. In 2018, played 14 Opens, got 1 top 8, but all-time 8 Open top 8s with 2 wins, 1 Invi top 8, won that one. The fastest invitational finals probably of all time.
Yeah, I was actually doing commentary on that with Cedric Phillips, I believe, and we had a good time. Just Barich's pace of play always speeds up when she knows she's ahead, and every time she would just untap and have the kill, she would just sit up in her chair a little bit, play her land pretty fast, do a double count, and then shove. And then the opponent would do some blocks or removal, and usually she would just kill them through 2 removal spells. So. Always a treat to watch.
Erin Barich playing Infect is just delightful.
Shuffling up here for Game 3, going to see which of these 2 players can take down their match and put their team firmly in the driver's seat. As you can see, Harvey and Lynn both down a game, but it can go either way.
This time Warfield will be back on the play, see if both players can keep their 7-card hands.
Warfield here kept. Barich kept as well.
Tap to Blood Crypt versus get to Lava Runner.
Ooh, Marauding Rapper off the top. This could be a good one. Does have 3 toughness to start, so.
Warfield will start on Huntmaster, though.
Now, that's important to note because if the Huntmaster comes down second and the Marauding Raptor on the battlefield, it actually just eats the Huntmaster. It deals 1 or 2 damage to it, rather, and straight up kills it. So it's important to get down your Huntmaster first when you have both of them in your hand, else the other one is likely just a dead card.
Barich attacked the Lava Runner into the Huntmaster. It connected. Warfield to 19 and now light up the stage, finds land, leaves Runaway Steamkin on retainer, and here is a second Lava Runner.
Could have been fear of something like Fanatical Firebrand as a follow-up to have an easy way to kill it.
Ooh, and a big follow-up for Warfield. Here's running Regisaur with haste. You're at 13.
Warfield doesn't have a 3rd land, though, so if Barich has a removal spell for the Huntmaster here. Woof.
Well, here's Steamkin plus Fanatical Firebrand. Steamkin now at 2. Though those Lava Runners are still just 1-power creatures. With the way the game is going so far, Barich can possibly chump block the Rotting Regisaur. We haven't seen a way to give it trample yet.
Yeah, and there's a lot of blockers here for Barich. I expect the Fanatical Firebrand is going to chump and shoot for 1, and Barich is going to try to have a pretty explosive turn 4.
Lava Runners knock Warfield to 17.
Oh, yeah, trigger from Marauding Regisaur. It looks like Allison missed that trigger just playing quickly there. Found the land off the top. We know that it was a land because she didn't play a land last turn. It's going to be a pretty easy fix from the judge side of things. Just a missed trigger on upkeep, but...
I'm not positive what the ruling is. Sometimes with these looking at extra cards kind of errors, you have the player shuffle the deck. You have gained information before discarding card to hand side, or to the register rather.
Now what they could do also is there's a number of fixes for stuff like that. So they're just gonna basically talk to the judge. We'll come back to the booth here while they get that sorted out. We'll make sure that they pause the match before they start again, so that we get to see the natural conclusion there. Do we got any more questions here from Twitter?
We probably got a few that came in. Try not to look at my phone during the match. That would be irresponsible.
All right.
Here's a easy. This is a fun one. This is from Brittany MTG. What's your favorite card of all time, and what's your favorite card in the most recent set printed? So that'd be favorite time of all time, and then favorite card from Core Set 2020.
Favorite card from Core Set 2020 is Marauding Raptor. That card is super cool. I just wish dinosaurs were gonna be around a little bit longer for it to get a lot of utilization. Favorite card all time, Desolation Angel. Not close. I have a framed print of it from the Apocalypse art.
That's sick.
It's nice.
My favorite card all time is Mole Drifter, because it always makes me happy if I'm casting that card in any capacity.
Sure.
Favorite card from Core Set 2020, Golos Tireless Pilgrim. I want to find some way to play that card.
Sure. All right, well, looks like we have the match fix. Turns out the way that, since there's known information from the draw step already, what happened is that card got put back, and then Allison chose which card to discard, and then gets to continue on with the turn.
Yes, you see the Raptor discarded, unclaimed territory, played as a land for turn. Update on the back table. Rudy Briksza, quick 2-0 win over Lynn. Oh, woof.
Huh?
Huge turn for Allie Warfield.
Huh?
Gulta joins the fray, gets haste. 12-12 coming across, as well as a 7-6. Barich will block the creature without trample. Jumps in front of the Rotting Regisaur. That'll hit Warfield down to 16.
Act of treason! Act of treason!
Barich at 1.
Act of treason!
It was light up the stage. But, now that Firebrand was spent, though, the cheap enable for that would possibly turn on Act of Treason, I don't know if we're live anymore.
You hate to see it. Or you love to see it, depending on which side you're on. Wow. What a turn of events there. 1 mana for Marauding Raptor gave Allison enough power to deploy a 2 mana 12-12 Trampler, and then the Otepec Huntmaster giving it haste. Just completely turned this game on its head. Missing the third land drop for a turn, you would think the Warfield would be super far behind, but instead, Barich's just out of time.
Looks like flush with 2 and 3 mana spells here.
Now, if Barich had a 1 mana spell in hand, what could happen is she could cast Live the Sage, put a counter on the Steamkin, hit land, Act of Treason, use the mana.
So there was light up the stage, just no lands there, a couple more 3 mana spells, and Allie Warfield 2-1 over Aaron Barich, and it looks like a full match sweep. Drake Sasser picking up the win over Dominic Harvey as well.